When you think of Tom Cruise, what comes to mind? The action-packed roles in movies like Top Gun and Mission Impossible? The daring stunts, the charismatic smile, and the way he always seems to be on top of the world? But here's something you might not realize. Cruise's success wasn't just because he's a talented actor or an incredible stuntman. It was because of something deeper, something that few people ever notice. The psychological tactics he's mastered to influence and control how people perceive him. Now you might be thinking, he's just a movie star. What kind of mind games could he be playing? But here's the truth. Cruise's success in Hollywood and in his personal life can be traced back to the same psychological traits that make up the Dark Triad. The Dark Triad refers to three personality traits: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, that are often seen in people who rise to the top in competitive environments. They can be dangerous, but they're also powerful. And Cruise? Well, he has a pretty strong handle on all three. Let's break it down. First, there's narcissism. This is the trait that makes someone feel like they are the center of the universe. They believe they're special and deserve attention. When Cruise first hit Hollywood, it wasn't just his looks or acting that grabbed people's attention. It was his ability to control how people saw him. He made sure to always be in the spotlight, whether through his films, his public persona, or his high-profile relationships. He knew that by doing so, he could make himself an irreplaceable part of the Hollywood machine. And it worked. But it wasn't just about self-promotion. Cruise had a knack for making other people believe in his greatness too. That's where Machiavellianism comes into play. This trait is about manipulation and using others to achieve personal goals, often without them even realizing it. In the world of Hollywood, every actor, director, and producer is trying to get ahead. It's a dog-eat-dog world where power is often about who you know and who you can control. Cruise knew this, and he used his charm and persuasive skills to get people on his side. Whether it was with his agents, fellow actors, or even directors, Cruise knew how to play the game to make sure he was always in control. Now, we can't ignore psychopathy either. Before you start thinking of the word psychopath and imagining someone dangerous, let me clarify. Psychopathy in this context isn't about violence. It's about a lack of empathy, emotional detachment, and an ability to make tough decisions without being swayed by emotions. In Hollywood, the ability to make cold, calculated decisions is crucial. Cruise had no problem making tough choices, like choosing roles that would advance his career, even if they weren't always the most popular choices. He was willing to take risks, to go all in on roles and projects that other people might have hesitated on. And in a competitive industry like Hollywood, this kind of ruthless determination can be the difference between a successful career and a short-lived one. The power of these Dark Triad traits helped Tom Cruise become a dominant force in Hollywood. But it's not just about using these traits to climb the ladder. It's also about maintaining power once you've reached the top. And that's where things get really interesting. When we talk about Tom Cruise's success, it's impossible to ignore his ability to maintain control over his image. This is where the Machiavellian part of his personality truly shines. Cruise understood early on that in Hollywood, perception is everything. What people think of you is often more important than what you actually do. And he worked tirelessly to create and maintain a persona that would keep him at the top. But here's the thing, charisma played a huge role in this. You see, charisma isn't just about being outgoing or likable. It's about making others feel like you are special. It's about commanding attention without saying a word. And Cruise mastered this. From the early days of his career, he exuded confidence, sometimes to the point of seeming untouchable. Think about the way he carried himself on screen, the way he interacted with the media. He didn't just appear in front of a camera, he owned it. Every interview, every public appearance was an opportunity to show the world exactly what he wanted them to see. And he made sure that what they saw was a version of himself that was larger than life. This is a perfect example of narcissism at work. Cruise wasn't just trying to be famous, he was trying to be important. He wanted people to look at him and think, "This guy is a star. This guy is someone I want to be like." And he did everything in his power to make sure people saw him that way. He was always in the spotlight, always making sure that his image was polished and perfect. He had a strong sense of his own worth and never allowed anyone to forget it. But it wasn't just about maintaining an image. Cruise was also able to manipulate those around him to maintain his position. This is where Machiavellianism came in. He wasn't afraid to use other people to get what he wanted. Whether it was working with the right producers, choosing the best scripts, or knowing exactly which co-stars would help boost his image, Cruise was a master at pulling the strings behind the scenes. He knew how to create relationships with key people in the industry, and he wasn't shy about using those relationships to further his career. At the same time, his psychopathic traits allowed him to detach emotionally from situations and make decisions based solely on what would be most beneficial to him. Hollywood is a high-pressure environment where people have to make tough choices quickly, and Tom Cruise had no problem making those decisions. If it meant cutting ties with people, leaving friends behind, or taking a controversial role, Cruise didn't hesitate. He had one goal in mind: success. So, let's take a step back and ask the tough question. What's the cost of success like Tom Cruise's? Sure, he's a household name. He's built an empire that many could only dream of. But what has he sacrificed along the way? And what can we learn from his use of the Dark Triad traits? For starters, Cruise's relentless drive for success means he's had to make some pretty big sacrifices in his personal life. We all know the stories: failed marriages, rumors of arrogance, and reports of a difficult personality on set. It's clear that Cruise's single-minded focus on his career came at a price. He wasn't just focused on the work itself, he was focused on winning, on staying at the top. And sometimes, in the quest for power and success, relationships and personal happiness can get pushed to the side. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite the personal costs, Cruise's approach worked. His rise to fame wasn't just about making great movies, it was about mastering the psychology of fame and power. He used the Dark Triad traits to build his career, and the fact that he's still at the top of his game proves how effective this strategy can be. People might say he's hard to work with or that he's got a huge ego, but that doesn't change the fact that he's one of the most successful actors in Hollywood history. So, what can we learn from all of this? First, we need to understand that there's more to success than just talent or luck. Often, success is about knowing how to manage your image, how to manipulate situations to your advantage, and how to use your personal traits to influence the people around you. Tom Cruise is a prime example of how the Dark Triad traits can be used to build a career and a life on your own terms. But there's a flip side to this. Success achieved through manipulation and emotional detachment can often lead to loneliness, burnout, and a sense of emptiness. Cruise's story is a reminder that, while we may admire his accomplishments, we also have to be aware of the psychological cost of chasing power and success at any cost.